You might not know that oftentimes when people go missing, it's not always reported. Yesterday, our Shira Matsuzawa looked into how the response is often very different when a missing person is a minority compared to the response we saw in the Gabby Petito case. Shira joins us now with a look at how that response is handled when it comes to Indigenous people. Shira, what'd you find out?
Well, Mark, I talked with a member of the Nez Perce tribe today. She says while she has deep sympathy for Gabby's family and community and sends her love and condolences to them, there's frustration to the stark contrast in how Gabby's case was handled compared to how missing Indigenous people are handled. Take a look.
What does it mean when a grandmother says, you know, my babies haven't come home in 2 weeks? Usually this is their pattern of behavior. And then the cops tell her, you know, well, wait another 2 weeks, maybe they'll come home. In that span of 2 weeks, that 2 weeks turns into 2 months, that 2 months turns into 2 years. And sometimes our loved ones, we don't get their remains home for 35 years or more.
And this scenario is something Ty Simpson says her people often experience. As a member of the Nez Perce tribe and director of social change for the Idaho Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence, she's watched the way some missing persons cases garner more attention than others, like in the Gabby Petito case.
In society, we have seen that when white women go missing, there is a fast, loud storm of response because our society has deemed that white women are quote unquote worthy victims. In the area where she went missing in Wyoming, there have been nearly 700 missing Indigenous women since 2011 to 2021. A 10-year span, 700 women. And we found Gabby in under 2 weeks. That discrepancy is heartbreaking.
Ty says across the country there are 5,700 unsolved Indigenous persons cases, and oftentimes the public never hears about them. There are a few reasons behind that.
One, Indigenous women have been seen outside the American legal justice system or the American legal system for literally centuries, that we straddle Indigenous sovereignty.
And two, racialized stereotypes. Ty adds there's also a lack of communication and collaboration between law enforcement agencies on the reservation and off the reservation, which ultimately leads to many of these cases falling through the cracks. As of Wednesday, the Idaho State Police told KTVB the Idaho Missing Persons Clearinghouse had a total of 167 missing persons cases, 9 of which are Indigenous. However, Ty says grassroots organizers and other organizations tracking these numbers for Indigenous people see 4 to 5 times that.
No community should have to be that hyper aware, should have to be that acutely impacted by violence where our mothers worry. While I have deep sympathy for Gabby's family, I also feel deep pain for my own people, that this is a relentless epidemic that we don't see the end of anytime soon, if I ever see it in my lifetime.
Now, Ty is also Black, and she says the crisis is paralleled in the Black community. And she says this is an opportunity for change, and there is a lot of momentum behind what we saw behind Gabby's case that can be duplicated in the Indigenous communities. And she also works with the executive directors for all of the tribal victim service programs in Idaho, and they're working on a series of summits to invite legislators and law enforcement agencies as well as advocates, and have conferences to build awareness and bridge the communication and collaboration. And they have a conference coming up, and we'll have details at KTVB.com. Mark?
It is eye-opening and disturbing, and it's a good thing you brought it to light. It needs to be out there.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Shira.